morning, Dr. Andy. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you, Mrs. Sprang?
I'm doing well also. I'm glad that we're having a chance to get back together to talk about another new topic because school is starting.
I know it's right around the corner.
Yes, it
Are you
is.
are you getting excited?
I'm getting very excited. In fact, I'm here in the office. I have a different background today because I'm in the preschool office today.
You do. I am in the Basset Psychological Services basement office right now.
It's lovely.
Thank you.
Well, I'm glad that we're here to have a chance to talk
Yeah.
because, as we've talked before, the school year is going to be very different.
Will be.
There will be a lot of things that are the same, and we're working
Mhm.
hard to make things feel
Mhm.
familiar. But there will be some new things.
Mhm.
Sometimes when things are new and different, it can cause a little bit of anxiety in adults and children and everyone when the routine is different. And I was hoping that we could talk a little bit about anxiety, but really specifically separation anxiety.
I think that's a great thing to talk about because as excited as you and I are to get back to school and to seeing our friends there at school, um, for our kiddos coming back in, this is a change. It's a change in routine because we've been home for quite a while. For some of our kids, this will be their first school experience.
Yes.
And so even if they're looking forward to that, anytime kids or adults go through a change in their routine, they go to do something new, it's normal to have anxiety. And so I think that's one thing that parents should really keep in mind, is that any anxiety they're noticing in their kids is normal. It's not necessarily a bad thing. That's just kind of part of the territory.
I think that's right too. And I think the other thing that I would like parents to keep in mind is that
Mm-hmm.
school is designed to be fun, especially
Mm-hmm.
preschool. And so even when children are very distraught or very upset to leave their families, it's usually okay after just a few minutes because we have a lot of fun things here. We have really,
Mm-hmm.
really awesome teachers. We have a lot of fun things to play with, and especially with young children, that distraction is one of
Mm-hmm.
our best tools. And so
Yeah.
often, even if a child is really upset, after just a few minutes, they're okay.
Mm-hmm. That's something that I know as a psychologist, but I also had to learn firsthand when 2 out of my 3 kids were very anxious being dropped off at Montgomery Nursery School, especially at the beginning of each year. And it's really hard to say goodbye when there are tears and some clinging. And in every case, if I was able to kind of say goodbye and then kind of leave quickly, within a couple minutes, the girls were calmed down and playing and enjoying their day. So that's a reassuring thing for me to learn as a parent, that my kids are going to be okay really quickly if I can just get them in the door and get me out the door.
I think that's totally right. Well, you're
Mhm.
bringing up a really good point. What I'm
Mhm.
hoping is that we can maybe just give parents some guidelines, maybe some tips on how to make sure that they can not
Mhm.
only prepare themselves, prepare their child
Mhm.
for how to separate well, so that we just set everyone up for success. So I thought maybe we could just go through a few tips.
I think that's a good idea. This is real world, Mrs. Sprang.
It is
You're a
real
busy
world.
person there with the phone ringing. I think that's a good idea. Whenever we want to have success, it's always a good idea to have a plan. So just kind of walking through the plan for drop off at school is a good idea.
Yeah, well, why don't we maybe start with that?
Do
Well,
that.
one thing I think is really, really important is that that parents kind of model the behavior they want to see. And so even if it's
Mm-hmm.
hard, even if
Mm-hmm.
you want to cry, and believe me, I've
Mm-hmm.
been there too. My littlest really struggled with separation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Putting a smile on your
Mm-hmm.
face and letting the children know that it's going to be okay, that school is a
Mm-hmm.
great place, that we are happy to be at school.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we don't feel happy in this moment, we have made this choice to come to school,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a happy thing. So you can do a lot to prepare your
Mm-hmm.
child for success just by putting a smile on your face and saying, isn't school fun? We're so excited to be here. This is going to be great. This is important because children will take their cues from their parents. So if a parent
Mm-hmm.
is crying, or if a parent is, visibly worried, that sends a
Mm-hmm.
signal to the child that this is not a safe place. When even as a parent, we feel like it is. We wouldn't have made that choice to send our child if it wasn't. And so I think that's probably one of the easiest but hardest things to do.
It is really hard to put on that brave face, but kids pick up so much from us about what they should be feeling. So if we're showing that we're anxious about drop off, that we really don't want to be dropping off, then they're going to pick up on that in a hurry.
Definitely.
So I think while we're setting, while we're putting on that brave face, while we're really happy and excited and enthusiastic about going to school, it's also a good idea before we get to school to set expectations for goodbye, to kind of lay out to kids that this is how it's going to go. We're going to go into the building, I'm going to walk you to your classroom, and I'm going to hand you off to your teacher, and then I'm going to leave. Let them know exactly what's going to happen so that they can kind of prepare themselves, that they know the routine. If they feel like they're going to get an extended amount of time hanging out with you and then you walk in and hand off and run, that will be jarring for them. So you want to set the expectations before you get there.
I think that's wise. And even this so far as to have almost like a ritual that you stick with to the letter. So like for my daughter and I, when she was 3, she had a hard time separating when she was 3. And so our ritual was 3 hugs and then I leave. And she would try to push those limits, but she knew 3 hugs, she goes in and I walk away. And some days that went well and some days it was hard. But that was sort of our signal. That was a way for me to prepare her that I was going to be leaving and that it was going to be okay. And it really was. But even just something as simple as, oh, you're 3 years old, we're going to do 3 hugs and goodbye. I can't wait to see you at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think a ritual can be really helpful, and I think it's important that that ritual is brief. We don't want goodbye to drag out for too long. That's something that I've seen with families I work with in the office, and sometimes families at school struggle with, where if we make that ritual too long, or we just allow that goodbye to linger, that gives kids a chance for their anxiety to ramp up. So it's like ripping off a Band-Aid. We want to do it quickly. It may sting for a minute, but that's way better than, ooh, I'm going to rip this Band-Aid off over the next 30 seconds.
I think you're right. And I think the other thing to keep in mind too is that our teachers and staff are trained with this. You know, this is actually a very normal part of preschool.
Expertly trained.
Yeah. And so, we want families to know that they can trust us, that we will keep them in the loop, that we will make sure that their child is cared for. And by leaving, like you said, quickly and decisively, it also shows your child that you trust that. But we are here to help, and we are always happy to be a part of that and to make your child feel comfortable at school.
I know firsthand that our teachers are good with the anxious handoff.
Yes. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and I think it's important that when we allow our teachers to help, we remember that it's okay to sometimes we need to do a handoff so that a teacher can put an arm around and kind of hold kids so that we can get out the door, that's okay to do sometimes.
For sure.
I think another thing that's really important is that when handoff goes well, or even if it goes better than it did the day before, that we celebrate that. We don't want to celebrate perfection, but we want to celebrate kids giving their best effort and trying their hardest and having a little bit of success. Point out what has gone well when they leave to go into school in the morning and really celebrate that.
I think that's good advice. I think it's good to help remind children about, you know, what did you like at school from the day before? What was your favorite center? What was your favorite activity? To really focus on those positive things, and then each time it goes well, just to say, you were so brave today. I'm so proud of you today. You did such a great job, and reassuring them also that, you know, I'll come back each time. I'll be back each time, and you can count on that. And they will learn that they can count on that, and it will become easier.
Yeah. And I think that's important to remember as they learn to count on that. This will get easier in time. The first drop off is always the worst. The first time kids jump off the diving board is the scariest. The first roller coaster we ride is the scariest. So once we get through that first one, each time it will get easier as long as we stick to the plan and stick to the routine. Just because the first day or maybe the first couple days are a little bit rocky does not mean it will always be that way. As long as we're doing this right, it will get better.
I totally agree. And typically we've been able to do things like as soon as your child's calm, we'll send you a picture of their smile. At the end of the day, we'll tell you the things that went well. And this sometimes it takes a little while. It usually does take a few days, especially if the child's only coming a couple times a week. But it usually does get better with time.
It will. Just like the Leona Lewis song. Do you remember that one?
Which one?
Gets better in time.
I don't think I know that one.
I'll sing it later.
I
will not sing it later. So we just kind of walked through a really good routine for kids who were having typical separation anxiety during drop-off. I'm sure there are some parents watching thinking, oh my gosh, what if it's worse? What if my kid has a really serious problem? And to that, I would say, don't worry about that. We have a lot of experience helping kids who have maybe a more intense than average separation anxiety. And our staff is really good at coming up with a plan. And I'm more than happy to help out and come up with a plan to make drop-off go well. So for those parents who are saying, oh, but my kid's really anxious, this could be really hard, don't worry about that. We will still take care of you.
That's right. And that's what we're here for. So just to kind of recap, there are lots of ways we can prepare for a successful separation. We can talk about the good things that are happening at school. We can tell children exactly what's going to happen, even to the point of saying, well, how many hugs would you like to give me before you leave? We can have our routine and our ritual. We can stick with it. We can say a quick goodbye, and then also just know that our teachers are here to care for the children and just to make sure that this will go as well as possible.
Absolutely.
Good. Well, thanks for being willing to process through this with us and just kind of help just get everyone a positive start to school.
Yeah, I think this is a really important conversation to have because I know that we are excited to get back into the building. I know that teachers are, and we want kids to be excited also.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much for your help, Dr. Andy. Have a good week.
You too. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye.